Good morning and welcome. I'm Jonathan Klusmeyer from EPA Region 7. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're very excited about today's event here in St. Louis, Missouri. We have a great lineup of speakers to give remarks today. Before we begin, I would like to remind everyone that you can see photos from this event on EPA Region 7 Facebook page following the event. Also, after today's event, we invite members of the media to join us for one-on-one interviews and photo video opportunities if interested. Now, without further delay, let's begin today's event. I would like to introduce our first speaker, the Honorable Mayor Tashara Jones.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for joining us as we make another significant step forward in our commitment to make St. Louis a better place for all, no matter your zip code. Today, we are proud to receive the EPA's Brownfield Assessment Grant aimed at transforming vacant lots and abandoned buildings into vibrant community spaces that improve our quality of life, enhance the environment, and create economic opportunities that will have a generational impact. I'd like to acknowledge EPA Regional Administrator Meg McAllister for joining us today, as well as our CPA Director Noel Pfeffer. Thank you for coming today. St. Louis has a rich history and architectural heritage, but over the years we've faced challenges such as population loss, leading to vacant and abandoned properties throughout our city. This Brownfield Assessment Grant is a comprehensive initiative designed to turn environmental challenges into opportunities. We will prioritize areas that have been disproportionately affected by these environmental issues created by design and history. Many brownfield parcels also have a negative environmental history, including the outdated building and storage of materials leading to asbestos and other chemical and metal pollution. CDA will focus their efforts on Fountain Park, the Greater Ville, the Ville, Jeff Vanderloo, St. Louis Place, College Hill, Fairground, Wells Goodfellow, Walnut Park East, Hamilton Heights, and Choteau's Landing neighborhoods. And I've lived in a couple of those neighborhoods that they're focusing on, so this is exciting for me. These neighborhoods represent only 10% of the total geographical areas of the city, yet they account for approximately 53% of the total vacancy. CDA's strategy emphasizes green community spaces and green infrastructure to promote clean energy and environmental practices to reduce stormwater load, provide cleaner air, and develop more beautiful landscapes throughout our city. Finding and assessing polluted spaces is the first step towards cleaning up and developing our communities across the city. The Vacancy Collaborative and Project Connect play an important role in the city's Economic Justice Action Plan, fostering community engagement, economic growth, and equitable development in historically disinvested communities and neighborhoods. And we're working with funding from the state and federal government to address vacancy in our own communities now through demolition and stabilization. Just a few weeks ago, I visited a building that the city worked to stabilize in Hyde Park. The short and long-term impacts of this project will guide the transformation of vacant lots into productive spaces that spur economic growth and build community while making our neighborhoods safer and healthier. From the start, this has been a community-driven process. The CDA held numerous meetings, gathering and ensuring community and regional feedback and operational input that guided these strategies. The assessment phase of brownfields is starting in concert as CDA is also rolling out its overall vacancy strategy. You can learn more about the transformational work and join the city's Vacancy Collaborative at stlvacancy.com. Together, our collective efforts and works will move our city to a greener, safer, and healthier place in the present and for our babies and our grandbabies. I'm excited to see the results of the EPA's continued partnership with our city on this important work. Thank you again for coming, and God bless.
Now I would like to introduce our second speaker this morning, Meg McAllister, the Regional Administrator for the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, Region 7.
Good morning, everyone. It's really great to be here in St. Louis. And thank you so much for joining us for today's very exciting announcement. Investing in communities to make them healthier, cleaner, and more economically competitive is a top priority at EPA, and it's really what the Brownfields program is all about. I'm excited to announce that St. Louis's Community Development Administration has been selected to receive a $500,000 Brownfields assessment grant to conduct 32 environmental assessments and to develop 7 cleanup plans in the city with a particular focus on Choteau's Landing area and other communities in the city's northern corridor. One of the city's priority sites is a vacant 2-story residential building constructed back in 1914. As with many brownfields, the building was condemned for structural issues and has been sitting vacant for years. Thanks to the exemplary leadership by the City of St. Louis, a competitive grant package was submitted to the EPA, and it clearly demonstrated how the Community Development Administration would be good stewards of this funding. This grant announcement really shows that environmental protection and economic development are not mutually exclusive. The two go hand in hand. Redeveloped brownfield sites even have positive impacts on nearby residential properties, which can see a 15% increase in value after redevelopment. And most importantly, grant-funded projects also include strategies to minimize displacement and ensure that the people most impacted by brownfields also benefit from the renewal. The sites slated for assessment are all full of potential for future redevelopment, which will be a tremendous benefit to the community. Our administrator, Michael Regan, likes to say we're turning blight into might in EPA's Brownfields program, and I agree, we are investing in America in a really big way. Now, more good news is on the horizon for brownfields. President Biden's once-in-a-generation bipartisan infrastructure law is supercharging the brownfields program. $1.5 billion has been set aside throughout the United States, allowing more cities like St. Louis to apply for brownfields grants. And this marks the single largest investment in brownfields infrastructure ever. And the EPA has more than tripled total funding for brownfields in fiscal year 23. Now, before I close, I would of course like to thank the EPA Region 7 Brownfields team. Thank you so much for working with cities throughout our region to help revitalize communities. I truly appreciate your hard work and your passion for this program. Mayor Jones, Noel Pfeffer, and all the city personnel who have been working on this redevelopment initiative, congratulations on your hard work to secure this grant. Thank you so much, and we're excited to be here to celebrate with you.
Now we invite Meg McAllister, Mayor Jones, and Noel Pfeffer, Executive Director of the Community Development Administration, to the front for the ceremonial check presentation. Now I would like to invite Noel Pfeffer back to the front for closing remarks.
Good afternoon, or morning. My name is Noel Pfeffer. I serve as Executive Director of the Community Development Administration, the city department responsible for administering these funds. We could not be more thrilled to put these funds to work for community-driven development in St. Louis. Thank you, Administrator McAllister, and your staff for this generous award. Your team has been amazing to work with, providing detailed guidance and technical assistance and demonstrating an impressive commitment to partnership and accessibility. We thank you. I also want to thank our team at CDA who worked on this application, especially Rashonda Alexander, who led the drafting of our proposal, as well as our partners at SLDC, who have worked with Brownfields grants for a long time and provided invaluable guidance. SLDC has deployed Brownfields assessments grants to kickstart projects ranging from the MLS Stadium, which received its first EPA-funded Phase 1 assessment back in 2019 when it was still a prospective project, to a variety of properties along the MLK corridor which are being assessed and have been assessed in the past 2 years. We're looking forward to building on this success to conduct 32 Phase 1 assessments, 12 Phase 2 assessments, and 7 cleanup plants, with a particular focus on our historically contaminated industrial riverfront and Choteau's Landing, CDA-funded projects, including $20 million in housing awards, which we announced on Friday, and 10 neighborhoods in North St. Louis, which represent over half of the city's vacant land. As some of you may know, CDA serves as a clearinghouse for the city's federal funds, which we deploy to our private and public partners to build affordable housing, provide social services, and drive various other economic justice initiatives. Most federal funds require an environmental review, and thus CDA has 3 staff members fully trained on EPA and NEPA requirements. They identified this grant as an opportunity to strengthen and accelerate our environmental review process and have already entered into an agreement with professional environmental engineers to expand our capacity to quickly and effectively carry out this work. Due to our role in the environmental review process, we see the city's environmental challenges firsthand. Roughly 10% of our projects require some degree of environmental remediation, whether it's removing underground storage tanks, removing and clean filling soil contaminated with heavy metals, or installing radon mitigation systems to protect against vapor from contaminated groundwater. These challenges are all a product of our city's industrial history, the factories, tanneries, brick kilns, machine shops, and gas stations which made St. Louis one of the nation's largest manufacturing hubs throughout the late 1800s and early 1900s. In the decades since, generations of white flight, racial segregation, restrictive covenants, and redlining have disproportionately impacted minority communities in the urban core. One sobering statistic from a 2009 study by Washington University's Interdisciplinary Environmental Clinic tells us that black children in the city of St. Louis are 2.4 times more likely than white children to test positive for lead in their blood and account for more than 70% of children suffering from lead poisoning. That's what makes programs like this one, as well as others like CDA's lead remediation and home repair programs, which make roughly 100 homes lead safe every year, so important. By now, I hope that many of you are familiar with the city's Economic Justice Action Plan to empower, develop, and transform our city through investments into youth, small businesses, transit, commercial corridors, housing, and much more. I want to emphasize that environmental justice is economic justice, and vice versa. We cannot revitalize neighborhoods and transform the city's thousands of vacant properties from liabilities into assets without cleaning up our historic brownfields. Similarly, disparate environmental impacts will persist until we eliminate racial wealth, health, and educational gaps, as is the goal of the Economic Justice Action Plan. What makes the Brownfields program so powerful is the way in which it brings together environmental and economic justice to catalyze equitable and sustainable change. Please know that as we work to deploy these funds, CDA is committed to leveraging other funds under our stewardship, including CDBG, HOME, and ARPA funds, as well as our strategic partnerships with SLDC, the Vacancy Collaborative strategy, which we announced last week, and various philanthropic partners to bring properties back to productive use and build stronger, more resilient communities. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremonial check presentation. We thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us today. For more information about EPA's Brownfields funding opportunities, please visit our website at epa.gov. Please enjoy the rest of your day.